It all began January 8th, 1982.
Good evening, I'm Ron Canada, and I'd like to welcome you to the first edition of State Circle. Over the course of the next 15 weeks, we intend to be your eyes and ears at the 1982 session of the Maryland General Assembly. Our reporters, Jeffrey Cole and Donna Martin, and myself, will be keeping you up to date on what your state government is doing for or to you, as the case may be.
And now, 40 years later, Ron Canada recalls that first show and MPT executive producer Everett Marshburn, who created it.
I had worked with Everett on a precursor show, which was called State House Forum, which we did live from Annapolis, from the Capitol building in the basement in a conference room. And then I don't remember quite how, but between the second season of State House Forum and January of '81, it morphed into State Circle.
Canada, who has had a successful acting career in the decades following that first State Circle show, says there's a need to keep the public informed now more than ever.
Because unless we understand the way we govern ourselves and those people we choose to take the responsibilities of government for us, if we don't understand what they're doing and why they're doing it, then we can lose those things very, very easily.
Over the past 4 decades, there have been 4 anchors for State Circle, nearly 24 reporters covering 40 regular sessions.
There is no mention of any kind of a tax increase in this year's budget. Still to be answered is the question of what will happen with the gasoline tax, or perhaps an increase in the sales tax to pay for transportation projects.
We've reported on 6 governors, 5 speakers of the House, and 4 Senate presidents. That includes late Senate President Mike Miller and late House Speaker Mike Bush, who hold State House records for having served the longest in their positions. Miller, 33 years as president, Bush, 16 years as speaker.
You have to remember that people have been here for 90 days working very hard. I mean, people on the outside don't understand how much effort goes into the legislative process down here. And it's pretty detailed and pretty intense for a 90-day period of time. And they're in here 12, 14 hours a day, as you know, in committees on the floor of the House, particularly towards the end. So everybody's tired. They're a citizen legislature. They go back to their jobs and their families, and they need a break.
And the hardest part of all is they want somebody who's enthusiastic all of the time. So that means that even though you're crying inside, you've got to fake it so you can make it, and to coin the phrase. I mean, you have to really be enthusiastic, say there's going to be a better day tomorrow. When one door closes, another door is going to open. And that's the toughest part of leadership, I think.
Over the past 4 decades, the diversity of the 188-member legislature has evolved. In 1982, women made up just 15% of lawmakers. As of 2020, that number was up to 39%. In 1982, the legislature was 90% white, 10% black. In 2020, the number of African-American lawmakers increased to 29%, and that includes the first black and female Speaker of the House.
Looking at the past history, you're correct. There have been all white males, and I like to look at it as this new sheriff in town, and who happens to be an African-American woman, and so it was 2 historic firsts.
Throughout the past 40 years, we've brought you stories from Annapolis about some of the biggest challenges facing the state, and that includes Maryland's savings and loan crisis in 1985 and the pandemic, which changed operations at the State House starting in March of 2020.
As we face a now global pandemic, it's more important than ever for us to balance fulfilling our constitutional duties and protecting the health of every single resident.
When we face a common enemy, we all pull together and we take care of what needs to get done. And our common enemy is this health crisis.
The Bay and environment have faced many challenges as well. In February of 1998, a State Circle special tackled the Pfiesteria crisis.
Good evening, everybody. It could have been the plot of a horror movie, but it happened last summer on the Lower Shore. Thousands of fish started turning up with ugly, red, bleeding lesions. Soon there were fish kills, and later humans developed rashes and other symptoms connected to something in the water.
And there was the great stadium debate of 1996.
Both of these stadium projects will be good for Maryland's economy and will create jobs.
I am looking for your opposition on this project, and I will actively campaign against you if you support the appropriations of this money.
Art Modell's contribution of $24 million is really just a drop in a bucket. It's like trying to spray perfume on a skunk. It may make it smell a little better, but it's still a rotten deal underneath.
We've brought you battles from the floor over issues like welfare reform.
This is the last day of the session, and a lot of things get by us on the last day, and all I've asked for is a little time to look at it and examine the facts.
This is a vote on a position that this House has already taken, ladies and gentlemen, and we want to amend it to satisfy the needs that you have been raising, and you want to delay it. I don't understand that.
And there have been moments like this one from the 1991 State of the State.
Clay Mitchell, Speaker of the House. We worked together in the past sessions, my friend, and I'm looking for his cooperation again this year, next year, and for the following 2 years. Mike Miller, Senate President, bright man. He's a firm believer of the separation of the executive and the legislative and the judicial branch. I don't like it, but what the heck.
40 years, thousands of pieces of legislation, issues ranging from gambling to school funding to a statewide smoking ban to police reform, even the addition of 13 official state symbols and the elimination of one, the state song. And there's more yet to come as State Circle enters its 5th decade with the start of the 2022 General Assembly session. Stay tuned.
Until then, I'm Ron Canada for State Circle, wishing you a good weekend. See you next week.
And I'm Sue Copen reporting for State Circle.